So I'm going away for a huddle on the ex-Tayside Mark II Volvo Ailsa WTS276T. It's very unique. Very unique that it's got a Mark III engine. It's still got its original Hamworthy rear axle, the Voith Automatic transmission. The majority of the Mark 1s and Mark II Volvo Ailsas, particularly the Tayside ones, had the SCG gearbox. The Mark 1 engine, SCG gearbox. Mark II, the SCG gearbox. The Mark IIIs had the Voith transmission with the Tayside buses, and this being ex-Tayside. This is very unique that it's actually got the Mark III engine sound with the original Mark II Hamworthy rear axle, whereas the Mark IIIs have the Volvo straight axle, and it sounds totally different, the Volvo Ailsa Mark III. But this is Alexander AV type bodywork. I remember it very well when it was in service in Dundee, and then going for a huddle on it to the Model Bus Federation in Bishopton, somewhere on the outskirts of Glasgow. It's a resident in the Bridgeton Bus Museum, is where it lives, this bus. And it's in reservation. So just a wee look around it. You'll get more footage of it when it's outside, because it's obviously parked in here quite tight. It's got to be parked up with all the other buses, but once the bus is out on the road, I'll get a better exterior footage of it, and I'll get some of the interior footage. As I say, it's a very unique sounding bus because it's got the Voith Automatic transmission as opposed to the SCG transmissions that are used on the Mark 1 and Mark 2 engines. It has the push button gears as well, as opposed to the silver lever. So it's just going to be departing shortly, so I'll get a wee bit of footage as I walk along the lower deck, and then I'll go upstairs and show you the upper deck as well. This bus has actually been to Helsinki when it was brand new. Went to a Volvo Bus Federation in Helsinki when it was brand new to Tayside. There's a plaque there to commemorate that. So it was basically a demonstrator bus, and I was there for a few months just to demonstrate the Volvo bus. So it's trying to get that in there. And that's the original adverts that are on the roof. So the upper deck, it's the Alexander AV type bodywork. This is all standard for the Mark II. It is a Mark II Volvo Ailsa, but it's just very unique in having a Mark III engine set up with its still got its original back wheel sound, which is the Hamworthy rear axle, drop centre, double reduction. The Mark III Volvo Ailsas had the Volvo straight axle, which sounds totally different to the Mark 1 and Mark 2s. And the engine on the Mark III is coupled to the Voith transmission as well, which sounds totally different to the TD70 engines being coupled to the SCG gearbox. It's very, very tight in here, and it's going to manoeuvre the bus out, and then I'll get much better footage outside. So if you looked at my other video with Bridgeton regarding bus 272, the open topper, you will find that this sounds totally different. This is from the same batch as the sister bus. This is really the one and only that has this configuration with the Mark III engine and Mark II rear axle. So it's got basically sounds like a Mark III, but it's still got its old back wheel sound. Bus in its full glory, you'll see it a lot better now. I'll get some good pictures and I'll show you a much clearer. In fact, I'm going to get a selfie with that, that's quite nice. So that was good. As I say, I know that bus very well. I remember it when it was in service with Dundee. I could write a book about it because I know it so well. I know the history of it and everything. I left Dundee, done 18 years service, left and I retired in Dundee service and for Dundee Tayside buses in 1987 when Tayside was bought over by National Express. Then I went as a Berry bus with Rich Hills from Newtown to join his sister Berry Bus 126. Another two went with it, 273 and 263. It's 4 Ailsas in all, and then it was taken out of from the Berries and went straight into restoration, where it's currently in restoration. It's had different owners and it's been looked after ever since. I'll get a selfie with that as well. So let's have a walk around the bus and show you this. So it is a very unique one because there's no other Tayside bus like this, or any. The majority of them are SCG gearboxes. This is the one and only with the Mark 3 engine with the Mark 2. It still has its old back wheel, which means it sounds like a Mark 2 as far as the back wheels are concerned. It's the rear axle, Hamworthy drive axle, but the rest of it's sounds like a Mark 3. So it's a very interesting sounding bus. I was fascinated in it when I first discovered it in spring of 1988. I've known it ever since. And I was amazed to hear it sounding like the way it did when I came across it. I was like, wow, it's very unique because all the others were original engines. So I've got a little bit of footage underneath as well. I'll get some footage underneath as well. I'll get the exhaust and transmission side. Try and get the front. It's got push button gears as opposed to a silver lever stick that's on the original Mark 2s. It's got the Mark 3 gearbox take buttons. 3's for cancel and top gear. This is direct drive, middle one's drive, and the far furthest buttons the reverse. It's a 3-speed automatic gearbox which is housed underneath the floor here. There's the inspection cover for it. The Mark 3's has got a bit on the floor with the differential for clearance. The batteries are under there, fuel tanks under the rear seat. The prop shaft runs, 2-piece prop shaft, one from the engine to the gearbox, which is in the centre mount, and then from the gearbox to the rear axle. You might get a better picture of this because there's a bit of reflection earlier. That's okay. It's got its original type ticket machine as well, which is quite impressive because I remember those in the day back in the 80s. This is obviously added later in the late 80s, but we've kept that there and we've kept both of them so you get a feel for both. You get to see what they both look like. The hopper, the money hopper's the same, that's still original. and this cab is all same as just going to take the bus through out the gate, so you get to hear it as it's been driven on the exterior, and it is a tidy machine. It's been looked after, everything's running good on it, all the running gears healthy, the engine, gearbox and rear axle, the original Hamworthy rear axle. It's all still sounding and running well. It's the main components that make a bus move. So we're going away to get some fuel first. It needs some diesel, so I'll get some footage as we make over there, and you get to hear the sound of this unique Volvo Ailsa Mark II. So it's a fully hydraulic automatic transmission as opposed to the SEG gearbox, which is belt, and it's got belts to lock the gears. This is fully automatic hydraulic. You hear the back axle still, which is its original sound for an Ailsa Mark II. Mark 1s and Mark 2s have the Hamworthy rear axle. As I said, the Mark 3s had the Volvo straight axle, which sounds different. But I've done a video on the Mark 3 from earlier on in the channel, I think last year, at Bridgeton. So it's leaf spring suspension, as Mark 1s and Mark 2s do. I just love this sound, and it's in top gear, picture of the rear axle, the Voith transmission. Has the hydraulic retarder, which is basically that works in conjunction with the service brake. That's what that high-pitched whine is when you hear the brakes being applied. That noise, the high-pitched whine you hear now, is oil pump within the transmission that constantly runs. But there's an additional high-pitched whine when the brakes are applied, and that's the hydraulic retarder. It basically acts in the opposite of a torque converter. So instead of multiplying torque to assist the engine turning the wheels, it's actually doing the opposite, and it's retarding against it, acting as a braking force. So it's hydraulic. That heat is then dissipated through a oil to water heat exchanger, because the kinetic energy is being converted into heat, as it does with the traditional brake shoes anyway, because the brake shoes are basically friction rubbing against the steel drum, and it's converting the mechanical kinetic energy into heat. Well, the hydraulic retarder is the same, but it just uses hydraulic fluid. That has to be converted into heat, and it needs to be dissipated with an oil to water heat exchanger. Keep the hydraulic fluid, keep the temperature to a manageable temperature. Second gear, going into top gear very short. It's top gear, direct drive. So you can hear the different transmission sounds. That's all the first gear works on it's like a torque converter differential. So there's a mixture of hydraulic drive and mechanical drive. So as the speed increases, it gradually moves over to mechanical drive. Once it goes into second gear, that's full mechanical drive, top gear is direct full mechanical drive, but in first gear it's torque converter, and there's a Voith's quite unique. There's a DIWA system, DIWA, so DIWA, or DIWI, DIWA, something like that, DIWA. It's basically, it's a German, I think, term. I think it's to relate to that's first gear now, differential torque converter. That's the now direct drive in second gear. Top gear. Sorry, not direct, this reduction drive in second gear. Now it's direct drive in third gear. Second gear is still your reduction for your torque multiplication, but direct drive is just direct one-to-one drive from the engine to the rear axle. The gearbox is DIWA 851, so presumably the first gear is 1 to 8 ratio. Second gear will be presumably 1 to 5, and 1 for the DIWA 851 transmission. 1 will be 1 to 1 drive, this is direct drive. So you can hear the differences, you can hear all the different high pitch frequencies, which is quite fascinating. But you'll hear that in a Mark III as well, with the Voith transmission. But with this bus, as I say, you'll get that, and you'll get the rear axle sound, which makes a very good, interesting melody as sound. So I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to let this record, and you'll get the full engine sound. I'm just in traffic at the moment, but once we get moving, I'll get the full recording. I just love this so much. Very unique. I remember it so well from 1988. Fascinated ever since. So like I did say earlier, it was brand new to Dundee. This came as a batch of, this particular Mark II was in a batch of 271 and 276, and they got later Mark IIs, V-Regs. Prior to them there was the Mark 1.5s, and then prior to that you had the Mark 1s. Hear all these various sounds coming from the transmission, which is highlights how complex that is. The SCG was very basic in comparison. Well, it was complex, but the hydraulic Voith transmission is much more complex than the original SCG transmission. The SCGs was a step up from the pre-select basically. Whereas because the Voith fully automatic is far more complex, so you got all these different melodies of sounds coming from it. So yeah, I could write a book on this. I mean, I know this bus so well. I've seen it in different routes and different stages, restoration. I've seen it. I was on it when I was a Berry bus. I was on it when I was in service in the 80s, 90s, and yeah, I know it very well. It's very unique. It's been well looked after now. I was always in good hands. All the preservation is, they've really looked after this one. It's all original condition. housed at different places. It was living at Arbroath for a while and then it was moved around. Now it's currently living in Glasgow. So I'm just going to put some fuel in it, some diesel, and we'll be on the way again. I've never been here before. I've never been to the Motor Bus Federation before. There is another Mark 1 Volvo Ailsa. Well, there's another Ailsa. This was the Mark 1, just parked over there. I'll show you that. That too is a resident at Bridgeton Bus Museum. There's a vintage lorry, a Volvo FL10. So it's 3 Volvo vehicles, 2 Mark 1 Volvo Ailsa. That's the one there, AV1, the end wedge. And we've got the Mark 2, which is the one on WTS276T. And then you've got the Volvo FL truck. It switches off in that. So we're at the Bishopton, and as I say, you've got the Mark 1 Volvo Ailsa ex-Strathclyde, and we've got the ex-Tayside Mark 2. All we need is a Mark 3 Volvo Ailsa and you'd have the complete set. And there's the FL10 lorry, the Volvo lorry, which has a 10 litre engine, hence the FL10. The Volvo Ailsas have got 6.7 litre, basically a 7 litre engine. 6.7, but we just refer to it as a TD70E, which is just a 7 litre engine. They use them in the FL and FM lorries as well. And the F86 truck is where it originated from, back in the early 70s. It's a 70s designed engine. They did, of course, revise engines later on through the generations of the Ailsas. So the Mark 1 had the early, that's TD70E, then you had a TD70H engine that was generally put in the Mark 3s. So this one is a resident of Bridgeton Bus Garage, and I would have been there when it was in service. There's a good bit of history. I'll try and get a wee bit of it for you. So we'd obviously just pause the video when you want to read this. There's a lot of reading. Interesting reading. No pictures. So if you've got a big screen and that, you'd be able to see it quite easy. Just pause the video and you'll be able to read all of the literature about this. And here's some technical spec and stuff I like. So we get that closer. Get a picture of that as well. Stays in focus, of course, which it doesn't like to do. It keeps going out of focus. Just focus. So it gives you the chassis weight as well, the chassis weight, which is all the stuff I like to know about, the dimensions of power ratings, technical stuff. I'm interested in all that. V-type body. This and then rated weight, and then I think I want to go inside the place. So we'll get a picture of the rear sides of them as well before I go into the community centre where the Model Bus Federation is. So I'm just quickly in a few rear shots as well as photos. Beautifully turned out Volvo Ailsas. You know, there's a little bit of footage of the 276's technical stuff. A picture of that as well. It's just that the sunlight is kind of blocking it a little bit. There we go. Maybe I'll probably just screen save the video. That'll be the... So I'm inside the Model Bus Federation. It's in the community centre. It's basically what it's about, model buses. That's pretty cool, like. Oh, I should say it's rather hot. It's on fire. My viewers will love that, I'm sure. That is cool. Hot, I should say.
Should say wait on the crossing when you press it.
Oh yes, yeah, I can just zoom in on that, yeah, I see that. Yeah, so you just... That's cool. Smart. Aha, that's what's... That's cool, like, yeah, that's really detailed, it's really smart. Yeah. And the big screen, that'll look like the real thing, and it's just it's really realistic.
His is crap, you can't buy it for his one.
I know. Shocking.
And it was a track and I picked this up.
So that's where the Model Bus Federation's being held at the Bishop Community Centre. It's the 2nd of November 2025 event. So the buses are parked up there, and I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon just within there basically, and I'll get a bite to eat, go to the cafe and whatnot, and just spend the Sunday afternoon relaxing. And I'll look forward to the return leg on the bus going back. So I've pretty much round off the video because I've given you an idea what it's like there. The video was mainly about the bus trip from Bridgeton Bus Museum to Bishopton. I've never been here before, so it's a new thing for me as well. So, hope you enjoy that video. Just see what else I put up on my channel, and thanks for watching. Yeah, bye for now.